Quick, what a surprise takedown, huh?
Oh, yeah! I mean, Shane can do...
In the unpredictable world of professional wrestling, fans have always been fascinated by the what-ifs that never quite came to pass. From surprise alliances to missed opportunities, there have been several moments where stars were close to becoming part of WWE's most iconic factions, but for various reasons, it never happened. In this video, we're diving deep into the stories of wrestlers who almost joined legendary WWE factions. From almost joining the Wyatt family to missing out on spots in Evolution, here are the 10 wrestlers who could have been a part of WWE history, but weren't. 10. Baron Corbin and Luchasaurus. Almost joined the Wyatt family. The Wyatt family, an enigmatic and chilling faction that became synonymous with mysterious, eerie storytelling. With names like Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan at the forefront, the faction had a unique energy that captivated audiences. But at one point, WWE considered adding two completely different characters to the mix: Baron Corbin and Luchasaurus. Backstage promos were filmed with Baron Corbin alongside Bray Wyatt, although they were never released to the public. The idea was to portray Corbin as a powerhouse, a silent but dangerous force under Bray's mysterious command. Corbin, still searching for his identity in WWE at the time, was being molded into something far different from his lone wolf persona. This mysterious, quiet powerhouse could have been an interesting shift in his character, but it was a plan that never fully materialized. 9. Matt Morgan. Almost joined the Brothers of Destruction. Back in 2005, WWE had a vision for a new powerhouse faction built around the iconic Brothers of Destruction, The Undertaker and Kane. Vince McMahon and his creative team even had early sketches and storyboards ready, where Matt Morgan would join the duo as a third member. The idea was for Morgan to debut as Abel Bell, a direct reference to the biblical story of Cain and Abel, further adding to the mysterious aura of the group. But just as quickly as the idea came, it was shelved. Vince McMahon pulled the plug on the storyline, much to the relief of many fans. Morgan, who would eventually be repackaged with a stuttering gimmick, a far cry from the menacing figure originally envisioned, went on to have a respectable career. 8. China almost joined the New World Order, NWO. Before she changed the landscape of women's wrestling as a part of DX, China was almost recruited by WCW to become the first female member of the New World Order, NWO. In her autobiography, China revealed that WCW had expressed interest in bringing her in, recognizing her size, strength, and unique look. They saw her as a perfect fit for the NWO during its peak era. However, China turned down the offer. She opted to sign with WWE, where she would soon make history as Triple H's silent bodyguard before eventually joining DX. It was a move that allowed her to shine in a much more prominent role, redefining the role of women in professional wrestling. 7. Dan Severn with the Ministry of Darkness. Dan Severn was a legitimate shoot fighter, a former MMA champion, and one of the most respected figures in the world of combat sports. WWE, seeing the potential in his no-nonsense, hard-hitting style, wanted to capitalize on that. They pitched an idea where Severn would join The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness, bringing a new level of legitimacy to the faction. However, the storyline took an odd turn when Vince McMahon insisted that Severn adopt a more sinister, over-the-top persona. He was told to shave 666 into his forehead and fully embrace the satanic vibe of the ministry. Severn, who hailed from small-town Michigan and had business sponsors to think about, laughed off the idea. He famously declined, stating that there were things he wouldn't do for a paycheck, and this was one of them. 6. Caitlyn with the Divas of Doom. In 2011, WWE had a brief but intriguing plan to expand the Divas of Doom, the formidable duo of Beth Phoenix and Natalya, who were determined to end the reign of the Barbie doll divas. The third member they considered to join this powerhouse faction, Caitlyn. WWE even filmed a SmackDown segment where Caitlyn turned heel and aligned herself with Beth and Natalya, but for some unknown reason, the segment never aired. Was it because it didn't get the desired reaction, or did WWE have second thoughts? No one knows for sure, but Caitlyn would eventually continue her career as a babyface and even win the Divas Championship, while the Divas of Doom faded into the background. Had the heel turn stuck, it could have been the beginning of a new era for the women's division, one dominated by stronger, more athletic talent. But instead, it became another what if that fans can only wonder about. 5. Christopher Daniels with The Brood, an unforgettable faction made up of Edge, Gangrel, and Christian. But what if it had been a different wrestler entirely? Initially, WWE's vision for The Brood included Christopher Daniels as the third member. Daniels had the perfect look. He was skilled in the ring and had a dark, mysterious vibe that would have blended seamlessly into the faction's gothic aesthetic. However, Edge, who had a long-standing friendship with Christian, fought hard for his friend to join the group instead of Daniels. Edge believed that Christian brought a chemistry to the team that Daniels couldn't match. Vince McMahon agreed with Edge's assessment, and the rest, as they say, is history. Daniels, for his part, never made it to WWE, but he went on to achieve success in Ring of Honor, TNA, and AEW. While Daniels would have fit the mold of The Brood, Edge and Christian's partnership became one of the most legendary tag teams in WWE history. This was one of those rare cases where a change in direction turned out to be the best move for everyone involved. 4. Hulk Hogan with the Bullet Club. In 2017, the Bullet Club was one of the hottest factions in wrestling. Featuring stars like Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, and the Young Bucks, it was a group built on rebellion and fresh faces. But in a surprising twist, Hulk Hogan, one of the biggest stars in wrestling history, expressed interest in joining the faction. According to Cody Rhodes, Hogan reached out and seriously considered joining the Bullet Club during its peak. New Japan Wrestling even entertained the idea, but Hogan reportedly asked for a hefty appearance fee, around $75,000 for a single show. And just like that, talks ended. Hogan's request for a payday clashed with the ethos of the Bullet Club. This was a faction built on youthful energy, fresh faces, and the spirit of rebellion. Hogan's presence would have felt out of place, much like a relic from the 80s trying to insert himself into a cutting-edge movement. 3rd, Test and Val Venis in D-Generation X. After Shawn Michaels left DX in 1998, WWE toyed with the idea of adding some new blood to the group. Among the names floated were Test and Val Venis. Test, seen as a future main eventer, was compared to a young Kevin Nash by Vince Russo. Val Venis, with his adult film star gimmick, seemed like a perfect fit for the edgy and rebellious energy of DX. But Triple H and the other members just weren't sold on the idea. They knew that DX had a unique vibe, one that wouldn't be improved by forced additions. As a result, the group stuck with X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn, and the rest is history. Test and Val Venis would both have solid careers, but neither would have meshed well with the unpredictable energy of DX. 2. Big E with the Shield. Before Big E became the beloved powerhouse of the New Day, he was seriously considered as a member of the Shield. When WWE was forming the trio in 2012, Big E's name was tossed around as a potential third member, alongside Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. However, WWE decided to go in a different direction, and Big E was paired with Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee instead. In hindsight, this turned out to be the right move. The Shield went on to become one of the most dominant factions of all time, while Big E became a multi-time champion and one of the most beloved figures in modern WWE. 1. Mark Jindrak with Evolution. Perhaps one of the most famous what-ifs in wrestling history, Mark Jindrak was nearly the fourth member of Evolution. In the early 2000s, WWE was forming the legendary faction with Triple H, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, and a fourth member to round out the group. Vince McMahon was sold on Jindrak, and they even filmed vignettes for his debut. However, Triple H wasn't sold on Jindrak. He felt that Jindrak lacked the maturity and didn't fit with the group's dynamic. After pushing back, Triple H convinced Vince to pull the trigger on Batista instead. This decision helped launch one of the most successful factions in wrestling history, and Batista went on to become a multiple-time world champion and Hollywood superstar. A world of missed opportunities. While wrestling fans will always speculate on these what-ifs, the reality is that the wrestlers who didn't join these factions found their own paths to success. Sometimes the missed opportunities in WWE can lead to even greater legacies in the long run. Thank you for joining us in exploring these fascinating alternate histories. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more wrestling content and deep dives into the behind-the-scenes stories that shape the world of professional wrestling.